Hey everybody, I am live, I believe, and I wanted to address a question from my blog that came in about this post that maybe was featured. I don't know why I keep getting new comments on it, but it's about what not to do when you're having relationship problems. The idea is not to go running to other people to talk about them. I like to put the disclaimer in that if you are in an abusive relationship or there's any danger or anything like that, then by all means talk to other people about it. But for, when it's not about that kind of situation, um, that's what this post is about. So I will give me a moment. Um, I'm just going to share this in my Facebook group. If you are somebody who reads my blog, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to have your best relationships, money, love, it's all connected. I want you to join my Facebook group. It's called Thriving in Business and Love. So I'm going to be just sharing it over there. Join me live is all I say. Okay, cool. So let me just dive in and read the post. It's a long comment, and I wanted to just record a video for the person that I'll share as well in the comments. Okay, hi. Me and my partner have been together for nearly 2 years and grew very close very quickly. We moved in together early on, and I have recently moved 5 hours away to uni. We started petty arguments a long time back, and he has had a very rough year with his business, broke his foot, and the general arguments keep getting him down. So we have tried to stay on top of our arguments and tried talking over everything, but every petty argument is slightly different. He kept threatening to end our relationship if I didn't change, but I feel like also he needs to change. However, I feel like our minds work in completely different ways on how we view situations and think about fixing them or what's right or wrong. A couple of times things got so heated in arguments his mother got involved, or we went over to her and asked her for help as the other person really would not listen and on the verge of breaking up. Okay, so here's my first. So the post I'm responding now is Genevieve. The post that I wrote basically said not to bring outside people in unless it's a third party that's objective, neutral, a professional. So that, and especially because it's his mom. I mean that's a pretty bad move. I'll just say that, because I can see why. All right, his mom will help us work it out, and it's sort of innocent thinking, but his mom's obviously biased. Okay, no offense. I'm sure she loves you, but she's obviously biased. Anyway, so that's one thing. I then found out. I'm going back to the post. I then found out he goes to her most nights and vents about all our arguments in detail for hours. And she also puts her word in, and then he comes back to me, all angry and using her sentences rather than his own. This went on for most of our relationship as they are close. Recently, I got so fed up with her involvement, I said I wanted her to butt out, and she took this as me slagging her off, and now she won't let me in their house or speak to me, and she said she doesn't want us to be together. My partner is blaming me and saying I'm jealous and being selfish because I do not want her being involved in our relationship any longer. I told him I don't want him to relay our arguments to her anymore, but he won't listen to me. I am hurt and being told I'm bullying and controlling because I do not want her involvement any longer, and also feel like he's taken her side. And she's taken his side. That's my own interjection. What do I do? Whew, okay, well, this is a doozy of a situation you're in, and I want to, there was a comment right before you that somebody said it was a similar situation, except the partner was relying, it didn't start out mutually going to this person, but the partner's relying on a friend who's a woman, and they've gotten closer, and now he's staying at the woman's house, and not a good situation. And I said in that comment, or in my video reply, I said something like, you know what? The fact of the matter is that that's a relationship that's coming first and foremost over yours, and that's a problem. And it doesn't matter if he's sleeping with her, or if he's just having this emotional connection with her, or if it's his mother. Okay, I don't think that we need to just like cut people out of our lives. I certainly don't think he needs to cut his mother out of his life, nor do you need to cut her out of your life. But I can see why you'd want that to happen, because that seems like it would be the easiest solution. But whenever a third party is threatening your relationship, it's usually because there's a lack of security in the foundation of your relationship in the first place. And that's exactly what it sounds like happened with you guys, is that you guys weren't really in a good place to begin with, and so you were relying on his mother to kind of try to help you sort things out. So for anybody watching this, please learn from this poor woman's, mistake here, that you don't go, I don't care if it's a friend or if it's a parent or if it's somebody you trust, whatever. Take it to, if you're like, you really can't go to therapy, but you're religious, take it to your priest, to your rabbi, take it to somebody who does not have, and not this you have to be, just be careful who you share your stuff with. People hesitate to buy. I will just be honest. I'm actually going to go over to my thing to see if anybody's watching, if anybody has thoughts or feedback, because I'd love to hear. It can be really, it can be really hard to kind of open up to a stranger and to sort of, say, oh, you know what, I actually need professional help. And so many people will take a shortcut. Many people will rely on their friends and try to get support that way. But you can save a lot of grief on both of your sides just to kind of hire a professional, hire an expert to sort things out. But short of doing that, what I advise you to do is to talk with him and to say, I really care about us, right? Now, I think that what gets lost in all of this relationship drama that everybody gets caught up in sometimes is the bottom line, which is that, you know what, you're really important to me. You really matter to me. I really want to have a solid relationship with you. It sounds like it's easy to jump straight to, we got to cut your mother out of this, because I agree with you. And I would, I think that's very important as well, obviously. But the two of you have to come first for each other, and that can be really hard to do when you've been feeling like you're kind of at each other's throats for a long time. A metaphor I like to use, which is kind of violent and not necessarily a nice one, but when two partners are having a hard time connecting with each other and having a hard time reaching each other, it's almost like they're on a battlefield and they're shooting at each other. Pow, 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 right? And if you're being shot at, the only thing that you can really pay attention to is the fact that you're like bleeding everywhere and you're just like trying to stop the bullets from reaching you. And the same is true of your partner. And as you're trying to like cover up your wounds, you're like pounding out to your partner and injuring them in the process. So you both need to put your guns down. You both need to like take care of yourselves and stop looking at the other person to change, and ask yourself how you can show up better for the other person. So clearly he wanted you to change and da-da-da. I think that, it's especially tricky for a lot of, you hear horror stories about parents-in-law. Thankfully, I have the best mother-in-law, and my husband gets along great with I'm grateful for that. But we hear these horror stories about how different people get in the way of your significant other. And as you know, as some of you may know, I talk about this a lot when it comes to your business, because your business is like another part of your family, right? And that can easily get in the way if, your partner doesn't see it as such. So I think that what my main take home point, I know I'm rambling, and this is not professional advice. Okay. This is not therapy. Go seek out professional advice. This is just for educational and entertainment purposes only, whatever, my little disclaimer. But my belief is that you guys really need to shore up your foundation together. And I know that the mother seems to pose a great threat to you, but she is his mother and she ain't going anywhere. Okay. If it was somebody else, but at the end of the day, no force outside of either of you should stop you guys, should threaten your actual connection, right? And so to really, recognize how much he matters to you, if that's the case, and hopefully the same is true. I would imagine it is. Otherwise, you guys would be just done with this. Just recognize it and say, you know what? I don't like that we've been through so much of this together. I am sorry for however I've contributed to it. Take responsibility. It's amazing. I work with couples, and with anything, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a couple, whoever it is, when you take responsibility, right, it just changes everything. So take responsibility and say, I want to show up as a better partner for you, and just start to do it that way. Okay. I know you're in pain. I know this is very difficult. But try not to see the mother as the enemy. See the pattern of disconnect that you guys are faced together as the enemy, so that you guys can team up with each other on your same side and attack it. It's, again, violent analogies, but that's how it can feel sometimes when you're struggling in this sense. I hope that's helpful. Thank you for watching. I will post this beneath your comment, and if you have any questions, join me Thriving in Business and Love. We would love to have you there. And that's all I got. All right. Good luck. Take care.